Footnotes from the Life Application Study Bible. Jesus called the 12 disciples. He didn't draft them, force them, or ask them to volunteer. He chose them to serve him in a special way. Jesus calls us today to follow him and to imitate his ways of sacrifice and service. He doesn't twist our arms and make us do something we don't want to do. We can choose to join him or remain behind. When Jesus calls you to follow him, how do you respond? The list of Jesus' 12 disciples doesn't give us many details, probably because there weren't many impressive details to tell. Jesus called people from all walks of life, fishermen, political activists, tax collectors. He called common people and uncommon leaders, rich and poor, educated and uneducated. Today, many think that only certain people are fit or qualified to follow Jesus, but this was not the attitude of the Master himself. God can use anyone, no matter what their background or training may be. When you feel unprepared or unqualified to do what you feel God is calling you to do, remember that he often uses ordinary people to do his extraordinary work. Bartholomew is probably another name for Nathanael, whom we met in John chapter 1, verses 48 through 51. Thaddaeus is also known as Judas, son of James. The disciples are also listed in several other parts of the Bible. Simon the Zealot may have been a member of the Zealots, a radical political party working for the violent overthrow of Roman rule in Israel. Why didn't Jesus send the disciples to the Gentiles or the Samaritans? A Gentile is anyone who is not a Jew. The Samaritans were a race that resulted from intermarriage between Jews and Gentiles after the Assyrian captivity. Jesus asked his disciples to go only to the Jews because he came first to the Jews. God chose them to tell the rest of the world about him. Jesus wanted to train them for their later mission. Jewish disciples and apostles preached the good news of the risen Christ all around the Roman Empire, and soon Gentiles were pouring into the church. The Bible clearly teaches that God's message of salvation is for all people, regardless of race, sex, or national origin. The Jews were waiting for the Messiah to usher in his kingdom. They hoped for a political and military kingdom that would free them from Roman rule and bring back the days of glory under David and Solomon. But Jesus was bringing about a spiritual kingdom. The good news today is that the kingdom is still near. Jesus, the Messiah, has already begun the kingdom on earth in the hearts of his followers. One day the kingdom will be fully realized. Then evil will be destroyed, and all people will live in peace with one another. What have we received from Jesus? We have a new life by his transforming power. We have a new family of believers. We have a new hope. Jesus gave the disciples a principle to guide their actions as they ministered to others. Give us freely as you have received. Because God has showered us with all these blessings, we should generously offer to others our time, love, and possessions. Jesus told the disciples that they should be cared for by the people they helped. The disciples could expect food and shelter in return for the ministry they provided. Who ministers to you? Make sure you take care of the pastors, missionaries, and teachers who serve God by serving you. Give them prayer, financial support, practical help, and encouragement. Mark's account in chapter 6, verse 8, says to take a walking stick, and Matthew and Luke in chapter 9, verse 3, say not to. Jesus may have meant that they were not to take an extra pair of sandals, walking stick, and bag. They were to rely only on God's provision and help from people. In any case, the principle was that they were to go out ready for duty and travel, unencumbered by excess material goods. This also helped them avoid any appearance of greed or exploitation. Why did Jesus tell his disciples to shake the dust off their feet if a city or home didn't welcome them? When leaving Gentile cities, pious Jews would often shake the dust from their feet to show their separation from Gentile people and their practices. If the disciples shook the dust of a Jewish town from their feet. It would show their separation from Jews who had rejected their Messiah. This gesture would show the people that they had made a wrong choice, that the opportunity to choose Christ might not present itself again. Are you receptive to teaching from God? If you ignore the Spirit's prompting, you may not get another chance. The cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed by fire from heaven because of their wickedness. They did not have Jesus' teaching or the disciples' warning. Those who reject the good news when they hear it will be worse off when the wicked people of these destroyed cities, who never heard the good news at all. The opposition of the Pharisees would be like ravaging wolves. The disciples' only hope would be to look to their shepherd for protection. We may face similar hostility, like the disciples. We are not to be sheep-like in our attitude, but sensible and prudent. We are not to be gullible pawns, but neither are we to be deceitful connivers. We must find a balance between wisdom and vulnerability to accomplish God's work. Later, the disciples would experience these hardships, not only from without, governments, courts, but also from within, friends, family. Living for God often brings animosity and persecution, but with it comes the opportunity to share the good news of salvation. In times of persecution, we can be confident because Jesus has overcome the world. Those who endure to the end will be saved. Jesus told the disciples that when they were arrested for preaching the good news, they should not worry about what to say in their defense. God's Spirit would speak through them. This promise was fulfilled in Acts chapter 4, verses 8 through 14, and elsewhere. Some mistakenly think this means we don't have to prepare to present the good news because God will take care of everything. Scripture teaches, however, that we are to make carefully prepared, thoughtful statements, and that God will provide the words we need in each situation. Jesus is not telling us to stop preparing, but to stop worrying. Enduring to the end is not a way to be saved, but the evidence that a person is really committed to Jesus. Persistence does not mean putting forth continuous effort to earn our salvation. Rather, it is a quality of a truly devoted life. The prince of demons is Satan, also known as Beelzebub. The Pharisees accused Jesus of using Satan's power to cast out demons. See, those who reject God often label good as evil. If Jesus, who lived a perfect life, was called evil, his followers should expect that similar accusations will be directed at them. But those who endure will be vindicated.